Hello, my beautiful internet friends here on Trauma Talk. Today we're going to be talking about a subject that is very personal to me, so I just want to preface this by two things. First of all, I am just going to talk. I'm not going to edit this at all, so bear with me if you hear pauses and uhs and ums. Secondly, this is my opinion. I am not necessarily stating facts here, but as someone who has been abused by men of power in the church, and we're talking about a man of power in the church here today, I feel like it's important to talk about this. I feel like it's important to share my opinion and where I come from. I know I'm not alone in thinking these things. I think this is something that needs to be said, but I also realize that this is my opinion and you're welcome to disagree with me. What has occurred? So there is a comedian by the name of John Crist who I have followed for years. I think he's pretty funny. He is a Christian comedian, so he mostly makes fun of Christianity while still being a Christian himself. And it's been therapeutic for me to listen to him in many ways because he's making fun of things and making light of things that hurt me, right? And that's kind of healing to hear, and he does a great job of it, and he's very funny and sarcastic and all of that. And I recently heard that he got his own Netflix special, and I was like, yeah, way to go, man. That's really cool. That's kind of the sign that you've made it in the comedy world. And then this morning I pulled up Facebook and noticed that there was an article saying that it was canceled, that Netflix special was canceled. And I looked into it, and what has happened is that there are many accusations of sexual misconduct, among other things, against him that have come out, and there's been very credible, thorough journalism done on these stories, which I appreciate, and very brave women who have come forward and told their stories, and even some who have been willing to attach their real names and not just aliases to what has occurred. What is clear is that this is a consistent pattern with John. This is not it wouldn't matter if it was a one-time thing. It's just as bad, but it's not a one-time thing. It's something that has been going on for a long time, where he uses his power and his position and his celebrity to abuse people, to take advantage of women and hurt them, and that is appalling and disgusting and inexcusable in any way. Now, what I wanted to talk about with this situation in particular today is the language that's being used in the Christian community, and even from John himself while talking about what's going on. John, released a statement talking about what happened and said something to the effect of, I will link his statement down below, said something to the effect of, I might not be guilty of everything people have accused me of, but I'm definitely guilty of, some things, and not always treating women with respect, and I struggle with sexual sin. The word the phrase sexual sin is used, and I've seen it echoed in other places in regards to this situation. And I'm intimately familiar with this phrase because in my experience, when people in the church abuse other people in the church sexually, what is said is that the abusers are struggling with sexual sin. And because I have come from a very Christian background, I understand why people say that. I understand what they're getting at. I'd like to tell you why that is the wrong language to use, why it matters, and why it's very harmful and invalidating. So the whole idea of sin in Christianity is that it's something that isn't God's best. It's something that separates you from God, right? So when you're saying I've committed a sexual sin, what you're saying is I did something wrong to God. I did something wrong in God's eyes. My bad. I'm going to pray for forgiveness. And if you believe in Christian principles, then you believe that God will forgive you if you ask for forgiveness for whatever it is that you've done. And the problem with using the phrase, I'm struggling with sexual sin, or, John is dealing with sexual sin right now, is that the main focus should not be that John has done something against God. The main focus should be is that his actions are incredibly predatory towards women, towards his victims. The focus of healing, in my opinion, in a public light, should be on the people who he has hurt. It should not be on the fact that, oh, you know, he's messed up something between him and God and he needs to make that right because that's not good. When you are saying someone struggles with sexual sin, when you're talking about someone who is a sexual predator, someone who has abused or assaulted or molested or harassed or committed misconduct, whatever that is, what you are effectively saying is that what someone has done in the eyes of a higher power is what should be focused on more than what they have done to a human soul, to a human being. And I know that there are people who listen to me who are people of faith, and that's beautiful. And maybe you agree that that's the way that it should be done, but I certainly don't. Because we're here on earth. And when you do these things to other people, they leave lifelong scars. They leave lifelong marks that don't heal overnight. And the focus of healing, the focus of everything should be, in my opinion, on what you have done to the people that you have hurt. You have committed something against them first and foremost. And it is so invalidating to be like, oh, I've done something wrong to God. Oh, and also you. I mean, by assaulting you, I did something wrong to you. But the real problem is, like, God and my relationship. You know, that's what's really messed up. I need to focus on that and heal that. And they've talked about that in this situation already. But that's not it. The problem is that he has used his power and his celebrity and his control and what he has within his means to manipulate and hurt human beings in a very, very disgusting, abusive, controlling, manipulative, predatory way. And I'm not saying that people are beyond redemption. I'm not making any statements like that, but I am saying that calling it sexual sin and making that the focus of what we're talking about is really invalidating to victims. Like myself. I'm not going to talk about his victims because I am not one of them. But that's what I wanted to talk about today, because I see this in the church literally constantly. Whenever someone has hurt someone in the church, we talk about it being a sin, first and foremost, and not a crime. And speaking as someone who has experienced sexual assault at the hands of a pastor, all of the people considering it an affront to God first, and, oh, I got hurt in the process of it second, is so, the word that comes to mind is just invalidating and very belittling. So I just wanted to give you my perspective as someone who's been there and submit that for your humble consideration. I don't know where this whole situation with John is going to go. I can tell you that I'm no longer interested in ever hearing anything he produces content-wise or comedy-wise ever again. That's just a personal choice of mine, and I think it's horrible what he has done. If you have been affected by this, I'm really so very sorry, and I hope that you find good support that you need. Thank you for listening, guys. Like I said, this is a topic that's very, very personal to me, and so I'm going to be a little bit more opinionated about this than other things that might come up. So thanks for bearing with me, and I appreciate you guys so very much. I love you guys, I'm thinking of you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.